It's the Back Nine Boys Golf Show. All about golf, from putting to driving, from hooks to whatever. Now, here's your host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, Rich Stiles.
And a great golfing morning to you. Welcome to the show. The Back Nine Boys Golf Show is brought to you by Mizuno Golf Reach Beyond, by Sea Palms Resort, where members practice their short game at the Miracle. You should try it. By Bridgestone Golf, play the ball that fits you, and by RSM, proud sponsors of the RSM Classic, helping local charities right here in our community. Today's show features Tag Marshall, a pace of play management system. We'll talk with their CEO of Tag Marshall, Bodo Sieber. Next, we'll talk with Judd Silverman, executive director of the just completed Marathon Lpga Classic in Toledo, Ohio. And we'll also talk to him about how they got the Solheim Cup that's going to be played later on this month. And then we'll talk with Tim O'Neill of Savannah about his win at the John Shipman tournament in Detroit that qualified him for a spot in the PGA Tour Rocket Mortgage event. But first up, our guest, Bodo Sieber of Tag Marshall. Good morning, Bodo. How are you?
Fantastic. So great to be back on your show.
I am so glad that you are with us. Getting connected on the internet sometimes is not as easy as it would like to be, you know?
Well, we'll make it work, right? We've all learned to get onto those Zoom calls in the last year and a half.
You betcha. Yeah, we've had a little bit of practice. All right, first, I've got to ask you this. The last time we talked, we didn't do this, but I want to ask you, how does a former rugby player get into the business intelligence world, and more specifically, pace of play management?
That is a great question, and I ask myself that question all the time. I was a rugby player in my formative years when I was a student at university and before that. But obviously, I studied to take my career beyond the rugby field. So I ended up in technology and worked for a couple of years creating software solutions and being a solutions architect for big international companies, including large breweries and telecommunication networks and so on. And opportunity presented itself with a friend of mine who's extremely passionate about golf, came and said, "Hey, you're the geek, you and your team, can't you help us speed up this beautiful game of ours, because we are going out of our minds every weekend when we're having to wait behind the foursome in front of us and there's no marshal in sight." So we looked into the space. We knew that we had the technology, information and the experience to try and come up with a solution. And that's how this whole journey started. And it's been amazing.
So when your friend came to you and said, "You've got to help us do some kind of pace of play technology because you're the geek," what was your first reaction?
Well, look, I get excited if people come to me or to us with a problem that they like to solve, right?
Okay.
Part of why I'm here, to solve people's problems. And then we could very quickly realize that golf does have a problem or a challenge that it needs to solve. For me, it was really a traffic problem that needed to be solved. And it was very exciting to just get to understand it, because golf to me was new, and so it was a problem that presented itself, and we very quickly got very far with our solution, which a lot of the operators really enjoyed working with. But in fairness, we are systems people and data people, but the people who really know how to run a golf operation are the operators, and they have taught us a lot along the way. And now we're in a fantastic position to be working with over 350 clubs and some of the very best pros in the world, including 30 of the top 100 clubs in the U.S., are keep teaching us what they want from the system, right? So this is really where the true power of what we do comes from.
Bodo, how long did it take you and your team to come up with the final Tag Marshall programming? How long did it take you?
The final tag marshal programming, we will never get to, right? Because we're forever wanting to improve it, and it's an evolution.
Good point.
But as it stands right now, we have been going at this for 6 years, and we've seen many iterations of our system as it keeps evolving, and as there's more functionalities being added. I would say that the first sort of stable, high value version that we had in the market, it probably took us 2 years to get to that. And obviously a lot of trial and error and minimum viable product building. But it's been a tremendously rewarding journey. And obviously now that we're 7 years in, we really do know what we're doing.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's always good. So what's the key to Tag Marshal's success, Bodo?
Yeah, the key to our success is, I believe, our willingness to listen and to learn from the market that we're serving, right? Because like I said, we are data people and systems people. We're really good at building technology, but we cannot do this in the vacuum, or we cannot build something that we think is great. We have to really go out and listen to the market and also learn from the people that have been in the game for a long time. And the other thing that's really teaching us is data, because you can imagine golf has had an amazing boost last season, and a lot of our clubs have seen 20-25% year-on-year round increases. The amount of data that is coming through our systems now on a daily, monthly, seasonal basis is phenomenal. And we are learning a lot from that data on our system, obviously with machine learning. And the algorithms that we have in place keeps getting smarter from the data that gets inputted by the technology that we have out on the courses every single day.
Right. So how does Tag Marshal, or what do you do that creates the big difference between you and the other competitors that are out there?
So I think the key differentiator with us is that we almost white glove our onboarding with our customers. So because we know that using technology can sometimes be a little bit daunting, and a lot of people that are doing the work on the ground at the clubs, it helps if we have an easy way in to help them get used to technology and putting some processes in place, also teaching them so that they can hit the ground running and really get value very quickly. And I think that is something that our team is doing really well. And the second differentiator is purely the results that the clubs are achieving with the system in terms of their round times coming down. There's real control over the playing field at all times. The players absolutely love it because they want to go to a club where there's no holdups and where the play is smooth all the time and where there's consistency around this, right? And then there's the secondary benefits like the value that we can add to the superintendents in terms of keeping their turf more protected because they've got a long season to go through with additional traffic, especially at the moment, right? So it really is a huge win to the operation once they take that step and say, yes, we're going to get some technology in to help us do what we do so much better.
Well, Bodo, you said earlier that your data has, showed that it really came up 25% from last year. Are you finding that even this year that it's meeting last year's expectations or exceeding?
So a lot of the operators we talked to, they're comparing to 2019, right? That is the real benchmark. And then obviously 2020 shot the lights out, even though they were locked down, many of them, for a few weeks. So a lot of them have forecast 50% of what they would do in addition in 2020. So if they had a 20% yearly increase in 2020, they had forecast 10% more in comparison to 2019. But they all ended up being higher than that. So we're not quite at the numbers of 2020, but we are very close to it, which is obviously fantastic for the industry. And you would know, Rich, that the industry has been gifted another 3 million players in the U.S., right? So it is our opportunity now, but also obligation to make sure that we look after those new players as well as the ones that have stayed in the game and just kept getting out there more, right? It's a fantastic opportunity for the industry.
Yeah, and one of the things, I think, if you ever talk to players of those 3 million that, they go out there and they try it, one of the things probably they're most frustrated about is pace of play. They don't want to be out there for 5 or 6 hours, even though that sometimes happens, but it shouldn't.
Yeah, you're quite right. It's a huge frustrator, but also it can be a fantastic delighter if it works really well. And the challenge the industry has had before is that we want to make sure that those new players or players who are returning to the game are made to feel welcome, even though they're a bit rusty or they're learning the game, right? At the same time, we want to look after the players that have been with it for a long time and obviously know the course as well and may not lose as many balls as I do. So we have to find a good balance, right? So how are we going to do that and do justice to all of them? Well, we have to really understand what is happening on our golf courses so we can really manage the traffic proactively and also be understanding and be kind and support the players, not chase them over the course.
Right.
So that is where technology and having that information that really tracks all the playing groups at all times and preemptively makes management, but also the players understand if they're starting to fall out of position. That is fact-based, that is information-based, right? So nobody has to get upset because somebody tells them they're slow.
Right.
Oh, we don't have to tell you you're slow. We can just show you the data and you'll quickly see that, hey, I've fallen out of position a little bit. Let me go and catch up and get back in position. And that is a very different conversation to have than one where a marshal or somebody might say, hey, get on with it, you're slow, right? Which obviously this reason players don't like to hear that, right?
Exactly, especially at resorts and some of the prices that are being paid to play rounds of golf at certain places. They don't want to hear you're playing slow and you got to speed up or, more importantly, even be asked to skip a hole. They do not want to hear that. So, Bodo, give us your website so our listeners and our golf pros and our golf courses that are listening to us all over the Southeast can go to it and find out more about Tag Marshall.
Absolutely. We're based in Marietta, Atlanta, and our website is Tag Marshall, T-A-G Marshall, 1L, tagmarshall.com. The one thing that we do a lot is webinars where we get some of our partners on to share their story and how they achieve success. And I'm very excited that we've got Oakmont, US Open host, and Olympia Fields, another US Open host, in up-and-coming webinars in the next few weeks. So anyone interested, wanting to learn more about what we do for the industry, we'd be delighted to have you on.
Bodo, thank you for being with us, telling us even more about Tag Marshall and how far you've come over the years. Appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much. Great to be back with you, and enjoy your weekend.
All right. Cheers, Bodo. Thank you for being with us. Next up is Judd Silverman, Executive Director of the Marathon Lpga Classic in Toledo. Hello. And that is where the Solheim Cup is going to be played later on. We'll be right back on the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
Hi, my name is Allison Fillmore. I'm the Executive Director for the Tour Championship, and you're listening to the Back Nine Boys radio show.
And welcome back. I'm Rich Stiles. We're glad you're with us, and we'll have Allison on here in the next couple of weeks talking about the upcoming big tournament coming up at East Lake. Our next guest was a caddy on the PGA Tour and is now the Executive Director of the Marathon LPGA Classic in Toledo, Ohio. Good morning, Judd Silverman, and I appreciate you being with us this morning.
Good morning, Rich. Good to be with you.
Always a pleasure. You and I have a mutual friend, which is how you and I got together. Tell me, first off, before we go into all the real important stuff, how you got to caddy for Craig Stadler.
Well, I was on the college golf team at the University of South Florida, and became friends with Gary Koch, who was from Tampa. He would come out and play with the guys on the golf team occasionally when he was in town. And through Gary, actually, I met Craig. And during my senior year back in 1979, Craig asked me to caddy for him in a couple of events. At Bay Hill was one of them, and just became friends with him. And a couple of years later, in sort of the fall of 1981, I guess his caddy was going back to school. He called me and he asked me if I wanted to come out and caddy for him 1982 season. And I did. And I was with him for about 16 months. And actually, that's where I got the idea to maybe bring a annual LPGA event to Toledo. I guess I enjoyed seeing what in traveling with Craig, what those tournaments meant to their community.
Sure.
You know, as far as raising money for charities and just, providing a great sporting event for the community. And in those days, a lot of tournaments had celebrities hosts. Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, Glenn Campbell, Sammy Davis Jr., and on the women's side, Dinah Shore.
Dinah Shore, yeah.
Jamie Farr was from Toledo. He was, Klinger on MASH. And I thought, gosh, it'd be neat if Jamie would put his name on the event, and we'd call it the Jamie Farr Toledo Classic. And we were fortunate enough that he agreed to do that and served as our tournament host for 27 years. And, here we are 37 years later after we started the tournament in 1984, and we're the second longest running regular season event on the LPGA Tour.
Well, you've got to be very, very proud of that, and I'm sure you are. But how has the Marathon LPGA Classic changed since it first started in 1984? I mean, it's grown, I'm sure, every year. Last year was an exception, but how was it received in the community as far as attendance?
Well, the tournament has been very well received since that first year. And now the numbers have changed as far as the expenses and the purse amounts.
Right.
Back in 1984, the purse was $175,000, and the winner received $25,000.
Oh my gosh!
And now we're playing for $2 million, and this year's winner, Nasa Haoka, received $300,000. So
big difference. Big difference.
A lot more than our first purse.
Yes.
The tour, the PGA Tour, has grown immensely, and the LPGA Tour is really a global tour. You've got players from the U.S. and Canada and Mexico and Asia and Europe, and you've really got the best players in the world that want to play on the LPGA Tour.
And how many volunteers do you have during your tournament?
We have about 800.
Okay.
And but I know we're going to talk about the Solheim Cup coming to Toledo and Inverness Club.
You're way ahead of me. You're right. We are.
In 3 weeks, I was just going to compare volunteers for the Marathon Classic, like I said, are about 800. For the Solheim Cup, it's 2,000 volunteers.
No
We've got
kidding.
Volunteers coming in from 27 different states and 4 different countries.
Wow.
Just a bigger event.
Well, how did it end up coming to your golf course, Inverness? What was the process? I mean, from the beginning to what's going to happen in 3 weeks. How long did that take?
Well, Rich, we've been working on this event really since 2017. The Lpga puts out an RFP.
Okay.
So any community that wants to host the Solheim Cup, you've got to bid on it. And so once Inverness Club's board got behind wanting to host the event, we put a committee together, and we worked for about 10 months putting our bid together. And, we were up against 5 other cities. And fortunately, Toledo and Inverness won the bid. And, we're going to host the event over the Labor Day weekend in about 3 weeks.
Awesome.
And, it was a long process. The first thing we had to do was find what they call a global partner, because they bring 2 of those sponsors to the table, Rolex and King Golf Clubs.
Right.
Solheim family and Karsten Solheim, working with the Lpga to start the Solheim Cup back in 1990 at Lake Nona in Orlando.
Right.
First one. And, it's fortunately, like I said, we were selected to host the event, and then, the real work starts.
Yeah.
But that first, piece, like I said, in the bid, we had to find a minimum of 1 global partner for $1.25 million, and we were very fortunate that Marathon Petroleum agreed to do it.
That's great.
They've been a terrific title sponsor of ours, and will be a great lead sponsor for the Solheim Cup.
You bet. Have the teams visited the course and played yet?
Yes. If you recall, during COVID, the Marathon Classic really was the first event back in 2020. We pushed our date back from July to August, and we ended up being the first tournament back. There was, there was like 11 or 12 tournaments canceled beginning in March.
Right.
And Mike Wan, the Lpga commissioner, called me and said, what if we came to Toledo a week early and played an event in Toledo, and we'll call it the Drive-On Championship, and we'll put up a purse of $1 million, just so the players have 2 playing opportunities
to play the course,
right. To kickstart the tour back running again.
Right.
And Inverness was generous enough to provide their golf course for that event. So you had 144 players, many of which are players from Europe and the U.S. who are trying to make their respective Solheim Cup teams. So they got an opportunity to play Inverness last year, and then this year during the Marathon Classic,
right.
The Pat Hurst, the American captain, she invited several potential U.S. Solheim Cup players to play a practice round on Monday of Marathon Classic tournament week. So they did get to play. And then I believe Katrina Matthew has had several of the European potential players play Inverness as well.
But what a treat for you, your team, for Toledo, for Inverness to have that event, especially since we've got Nelly Korda, Olympic gold winner, coming back to Ohio and playing in the Solheim Cup.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Rich. We've hosted, like I said, the Lpga for 37 years. So, the community gets to know these players
right.
very well. And obviously the Korda sisters are right at the top of the list. And Nelly, I believe Nelly and Danielle Kang have already earned enough points where they're automatically on the team. I think Jessica Korda is pretty close to doing that.
Right.
And we'll find out. Obviously, they're playing in the Scottish Women's Open this week, and next week is the British Open Championship. And then the day after, so a week from this Monday, both Pat Hurst and Katrina Matthew will announce their captain's picks. And the U.S. does it a little differently. You know, they take, the first 6, I believe, are off the points that players have been earning over the last 2 years since the last Solheim Cup. And then the next 2 come off the world ranking. And then Pat will get the final 4 picks. And then Katrina, they have a point system as well for the first 6. And then she gets to pick the other 6.
Okay.
Both captains will announce their picks a week from Monday. And then obviously the week of the Solheim is Tuesday, August 31st through Labor Day, Monday, September 6th.
Great event.
That'll be the final round.
Yeah, that'll be a great event. Great to watch on TV. Always a great event. 3 days of match play. So as a former caddy, what suggestions, I'm sure Pat has asked you, I'm sure all the LPGA players have asked you, how do you play Inverness?
Well, I don't think any of them have really asked me because these kids are so young, they could be my daughters. No idea I was ever a caddy. So, but Byron Nelson was the pro at Inverness from 1940 to 44. He loved Inverness. And I remember, Inverness has hosted 4 U.S. Opens, the last one being 1979. Hale Irwin won that.
Wow.
It's hosted 2 PGA championships that are memorable. 1986 was the year Bob Tway and Greg Norman came to the last hole, the famous, iconic, short 18th hole at Inverness, tied, and Norman was safely on the green, and Tway was in the right front bunker with a near impossible shot to get it close to the hole. Really, the only way to get it close to the hole is to do exactly what he did and hold that bunker shot.
Yep.
And while Greg Norman's standing there, probably looking down at him in the bunker, thinking to himself, "There's no way he can get this close because if it misses the pin, it's going to roll 30 feet by."
Right.
Made it, and then 7 years later, in 1993, Inverness hosted the PGA Championship. And Norman came to the last hole with a putt to win, and he lipped it out, went into a playoff with Paul Azinger, and lost in the playoffs to Paul Azinger.
Gee.
So anyway, Paul Azinger called Byron Nelson at the time in 1993 and said, "Mr. Nelson, how's the best way to play Inverness?" And he said, "Son, those greens are so small. You just aim to the middle of every green, and you'll have a great birdie putt." And that was his motto throughout the whole PGA Championship in '93. So I guess if it can work for Paul Azinger, it can work for the LPGA players as well.
You bet. Well, Judd, I can't thank you enough for your time. Good luck with the Solheim Cup, and we'll be watching to see you on TV, and appreciate you talking with us this morning.
Well, Rich, thanks for having me on. And, for your listeners, anybody that wants to attend the Solheim Cup, there are plenty of tickets remaining. You can buy tickets at the gate. And we've got hotel space up here in Toledo. And just go to SolheimCupUSA.com for all the information.
You bet. Judd, thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Rich. You too.
All right. Judd Silverman hosting the Solheim Cup coming up in a few weeks. And we're going to be back after the break as we host Savannah's Tim O'Neill on the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
Hi, this is Davis Love III, and you're listening to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
And welcome back. I'm Rich Stiles. Tim O'Neill has 4 pro wins and won the Georgia Amateur Championship, and it's a pleasure to welcome Savannah's Tim O'Neill to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Just enjoying this hot weather down here.
Oh, man. It is so sticky and muggy. I mean, it's probably been the hottest summer I can remember down here.
Oh yeah. It's those dog days of August, right?
Yeah, dog day. Yeah, you betcha. All right, you turned pro in 1997. I'm not trying to say how old you are, but you turned pro in 97 after a great time at Jackson State. How was the transition for you from college, where you had a lot of success, to turning pro?
For me, it was a little bit different, because I really didn't, well, a lot of guys now, they know someone that's playing.
Right.
I think that's huge. You kind of get out there, guys. When I first turned pro, I didn't know anyone. So for me, it was a little bit different. I had to kind of learn things on the fly, how to travel, hotels, and just all that kind of stuff that you don't really know about. You play college golf and you travel with a team, but when you're traveling by yourself, it's a little bit different.
Right.
A lot of guys now, when they turn pro, they have buddies and stuff like that to travel with. But for me, I was alone, so I kind of learned on the fly. So it was a little bit different, a little bit tough at first, but after a while, I kind of got used to it.
So was that one of the hardest things you had during that time to overcome, was being alone and doing everything on your own and not knowing which hotels to stay at, what the courses were like?
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. Just having someone to kind of talk to, practice with, go to dinner with, all that stuff matters. So, that was the hard transition for me, because like I said, I was alone and I wasn't used to traveling alone. So, it took a while, but slowly got used to it.
Did you think turning pro, it might be a little easier than it really was?
Yeah, I just kind of thought that I would just kind of roll into it and then just keep doing what I'm doing, but it didn't quite work that way.
Yep.
So it was a little bit different. Just like I said, you're always with, your team, your teammate, your coach. So,
right.
When you get done with your round, you have someone to practice with. So it was a little bit different, but I didn't think it was going to be like that. I didn't even really think about it really until after it happened.
So when you got on the PGA Latin America Tour, how was that for you? And especially, how was that when you won your first tournament over there?
Well, playing down in, South America was fun. And I was playing well. And my first tournament, I lost in the playoff. I think I was in, forgot where I was.
South America.
Yeah, somewhere down there, South America. So the first one I lost in the playoff. In the very next week, I won in Colombia.
Okay. So you remember that one, don't you? You remember that one?
I remember the wins, but I couldn't remember where I lost in the playoff. It's funny how that always happens, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. So I started off a little bit slow in the season. The first 4 or 5 tournaments, and then once I got rolling, I just kind of kept it going, and I won. My second win was in Chile, and then a year or two later, then I won down in DR. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed my time down there playing, and we played some really good golf courses too. So that was also fun.
Yeah, and I know it's hard when you get on the tours. I've talked to some of the other guys to get used to the golf courses, especially those that you haven't played. And it's nice to be able to go back year after year and play those same courses and know them.
Yeah, obviously the ones I've played well on, it kind of fit my eye. But there are a few. There's courses with everyone. You play courses and you sometimes you have to. It takes you a few years to get used to them, and some courses every hole kind of fits your eye. But there are a lot of good golf courses down there. Down in South America, some of the courses are really tight because sometimes they're right in the middle of the city and they're really tight and compact. And then, sometimes, we're out in resorts and the courses are big golf courses for guys that really bomb it. So we had a mixture of both, which was nice.
Well, let's talk about great news. Up in Detroit, you had a chance to play in a tournament that you had to win in order to get a PGA Tour exemption, and you end up winning the John Shipman event. Tell us about how great that was for you.
Yeah, this opportunity came, early last year. I heard about John Shipman. I had no idea who John Shipman was, and he was the first African American to play in the U.S. Open, and he was from New York, and so they, in his honor, the Rocket Mortgage decided to put on a qualifier for African Americans to qualify for the PGA Tour event, and it was roughly about 15, 18 players, and we went up and we played the qualifier, 2-day qualifier on the course where they actually played a Rocket Mortgage. So that was nice, and I was one of the participants, and I won the qualifier and got to play in the Rocket Mortgage, which was really nice. And it was a really good week. Hopefully they'll continue to do this and next year get a shot at playing again.
Yeah, because you won, you'll probably get an exemption for next year, wouldn't you?
Hopefully, yeah.
A win's got to mean something.
Yeah, you're right. A win something. So that would be nice. Not having to qualify is always good. So yeah, course really fit my eye too. It's a course where, it's tree line, a lot of rough and, the small green. So it was a really nice course, and hopefully I get a chance to get back there again.
So what was it like coming down the last few holes, knowing that you're in the lead and that you have a chance to get into a PGA Tour event in Detroit? What was that like? What was going through your head?
Well, so the first round, we had to play the course blind because there was a lot of rain before. So once I got a feel for the course, I knew that once I got used to the course that I would be fine. But like coming down the stretch, I didn't know what the guys were doing in front of me, but I had a good sense that I was probably in the lead. So, it's just the same stuff. You just try to hit the fairway,
right?
Hit the green, just try not to, hit a ball out of play, anything like that. Because the last hole is a pretty good hole. So just the same stuff, just like a normal tournament. You just try to play one shot at a time. You hear that cliche all the time. One shot at a time, and just take care of business.
Yep. So in winning, you got the spot on the Rocket Mortgage. Who were you paired with on Thursday and Friday?
Mito Pereira, which he just got the Battlefield off the Corn Ferry, and I played with him several times down in Latin America when I was playing. And then the other guy was I see his face. I can't remember. He lives down in Orlando. I'm drawing a blank right now, but he's also a guy that I play with down in Orlando a little bit. So it was a comfortable pairing for me.
Okay,
and, yeah, we definitely had a good time. And Mito's been playing good these last few weeks after coming off the Corn Ferry Tour, and he's going to have his full PGA Tour card next year. So I look for good things for him.
And did anybody, while you were there going through practice rounds or, putting and going through that, any of the pros, the big guys, I guess, did they offer you any suggestions? Did you talk to some of them?
Not really. I know a few guys out there. I play a practice round with Bubba Watson, Aaron Baddeley. So I know quite a few guys out there. But no, I didn't get any advice. I kind of know what to do. It's just a matter of me being able to do it.
Yeah, I hear that. So all right, let's back up. Do you think Bubba is misunderstood on the PGA Tour? I mean, a lot of the media, I know, give him some static every now and then, but do you think he's misunderstood?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I've known Bubba before playing Corn Ferry with Bubba. So yeah, he's definitely misunderstood. Bubba's a good guy.
Yeah.
And he's definitely misunderstood. People just take him the wrong way, but he doesn't mean any harm to anyone. No,
I understand that. Yeah. So what was it like for you at this stage of your career to play in a PGA Tour event?
It means a lot. I just turned 49. So next year, I'm definitely going to be trying to, chase the Champions Tour. I got the Q School coming up for next year. So, at this point in my career, playing in any PGA Tour event is definitely huge, just to kind of, keep it going.
Sure. Get the experience and have the opportunity. You bet.
Yes.
Because at this stage, at any stage, all you want is opportunities.
Exactly. And, the more opportunities, definitely the better.
Right. Well, we got to take an opportunity to take a break. So we'll be back with Tim O'Neill from Savannah right after this on the Back Nine Boys Golf Show. Stay with us. Can I say we're back with Tim O'Neill from Savannah, who had a chance to play in the Rocket Mortgage event in Detroit. Tim, how has working, and when I was doing some research, I found out you've worked with James Black a lot on your mental game. But how has he helped you to believe, and I love this phrase, believe in the unbelievable?
Well, James Black, played, long time ago. He was one of the, few African Americans, that be a part of that group, back in the day on the PGA Tour. So, it's good to be able to talk to him.
Right.
If someone that has had the experience of playing, because he's been around all those guys. So it's always good I think it's always good to talk to someone that's definitely has been there and kind of bounce things off of them. And, sometimes people can see stuff in you that you don't see in yourself. So James Black has helped me with, more believing in myself than anything else.
So how did the phrase believe in the unbelievable come up?
Well, golf's hard, and you have to believe in something. So you have to believe in the unbelievable. So,
Yeah.
golf can really beat you up at times. And, but you have to, keep grinding and believing in yourself, because if you don't have that, you're definitely not going to make it.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I also heard about you, is that you have said in interviews, golf can beat you up, and it can. Even when you think you have the game figured out, you really don't. So how do you stay positive when you're on the golf course, especially in a tournament, when you haven't played your best, your game's not where you really want it to be, but you got another 6 holes to play? How do you get back into that mode, or back into the mojo, so to speak?
Well, golf's one of those sports where, at any point, it could flip, and you have that momentum, and sometimes you don't, but you just really have to just you hear that all the time. You have to stay patient. Sometimes my patient runs short, but I'm going through a stretch right now. I haven't really played well this year compared to last year. So and then with golf, sometimes you're going to have those years where it's not quite where you want it, but I see glimpses of it definitely on the moving in the right direction, but you just have to keep doing what you're doing and try not to be negative about it, because if you're negative about it, it's definitely not going to happen. So I'm a positive person anyway. So I know you're going to have those ups and down times, and just hopefully you'll have more up than down, and you just keep grinding and believing in yourself, because it will happen. Because I've played well. I've had definitely more up than down times, but sometimes you do have those lows where it's not quite where you want it. It's like this last Georgia Open, I didn't play well, but I'm going to practice even harder, and just keep working hard, and it'll definitely flip, because that's at golf. At any point, it'll flip around.
Yeah, one of the things that I've heard about you in talking with some of the folks up in Savannah and around is that you have an incredible spirit and a very strong dedication to improving and to the game of golf.
Yeah.
You have to.
You have to. I mean, compete with these young kids. I try to make sure that I stay in the gym and stay in shape. And then, I'm, especially trying to get ready for, Champions Tour stuff. I want to be ready when it's time. So, you're not going to get better by not doing anything. So you have to work hard. And so I put in the time, practice and in the gym, and, you just try to eat right, and definitely just try to stay consistent.
Yep. I mean, that's the whole key, is that doing nothing, you're not going to improve. I love that. So great attitude on that. So what's in the future for Tim? Are you going to try Champions Tour?
Yes, I'm definitely going to do that. I have until next August. I thought I was going to be able to go to Champions Tour School this year at 49, but because you can go at 49, but you have to turn 50 before June 1st. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go this year. So I'm going to go next year. So until then, just going to be working with James Black a little bit more. I have another coach here just outside of Savannah and Bluffton that I work with, and just kind of get a game plan and really just go through stuff that I really didn't do well this year, and some of my weak points. And so when next year comes around, I'm definitely going to be better. And when next August comes around, hopefully I'll get some exemptions on the Champions Tour, and then if not, then just get ready for Champions Tour or Q School. And definitely going to do some qualifiers too, though.
Yeah.
But until then, just going to get ready for golf tournaments.
Well, Tim, we can't thank you enough for being with us. It's been a pleasure to spend a Saturday morning. Maybe we both had a cup of coffee, but it just seemed great. Thank you for your attitude, and good luck in the future, and hope we can talk to you again.
Thanks, Rich, and thanks for having me anytime.
All right. A pleasure. Tim O'Neill from Savannah, going to try and make it out on the Champions Tour. Had a couple of wins in PGA Latin America. Just a pleasure to talk to him. Attitude, spirit, and you got to stay positive, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. So you just got to do it. We thank Tim O'Neill for being with us. We thank Judd Silverman for also being with us. And we thank Bodo Sieber of Tag Marshall for being with us. Back Nine Boys Golf Show is heard every Saturday and Sunday right here on ESPN Coastal from 8 to 9. Join us every Saturday and Sunday. Thank you for being with us.
You've been listening to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show with Rich Stiles. Go to back9boys.com for all things golf whenever you want it. We'll be back next week with an all-new Back Nine Boys at back9boys.com.